Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight was from the Giant Center in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And Monday Night Raw tonight, I thought it was a solid show in my opinion. It was definitely much better than last week's show. But tonight on Monday Night Raw, we had Ludwig Kaiser versus Sheamus. Finn Balor was in action, and he had taken on Dragon Lee. Bron Breakker was in action. He had taken on Ricochet. We had the in-ring debut of Kiana James, her first ever match on Monday Night Raw tonight. And she had taken on Natalya. We had Braun Strowman. He had taken on Carlito. We had the Women's Tag Team Championship on the line where Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defend the titles against Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark. We had the Authors of Pain, Akam and Razor, end up taking on the New Day, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. And the main event, we had Damian Priest, and he had taken on Rey Mysterio. Overall, Monday Night Raw, solid show it was tonight. Definitely much better than last week's show. But anyways, let's jump right into the review. Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with the Women's World Champion, Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan ended up making her way out to the ring. Of course, she was trending last week on social media because after Monday Night Raw, she ended up kissing Dominik Mysterio, to which Dominik looked very uncomfortable. Like his facial expression looked very uncomfortable when Liv Morgan ended up kissing him. 50 million views were on that video. But they didn't even show it on TV on USA last week. We had to see it when it was on social media, and pictures started coming out of it. So Liv Morgan ended up getting into the ring. She got on the mic. She ended up welcoming everyone to the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour. Liv Morgan ended up saying that they say that revenge is never as sweet as you want it to be, but not for her. She kept saying first she did what no other woman in the division could do, and that was to take out Rhea Ripley. She then ended up saying that she became the new Women's World Champion. And then Liv Morgan ended up saying that's not all, and that she put Becky Lynch into early retirement. Yes, Becky is a free agent now. She did not re-sign, her contract with WWE. Becky Lynch is taking some time off, from what I've heard. So Becky Lynch, like I said, is no longer with WWE, and she is now a free agent. But where she ends up going, she probably will be on her way back to WWE. They will reach a new agreement with Becky Lynch, and she will resign. But as of now, she is a free agent. So Liv Morgan ended up saying that the cherry on top of all that was kissing Dominik Mysterio. So Dominik ended up coming out. His arm was in a sling still. So Dominik ended up getting on the mic. He tried to speak, but of course the crowd ended up booing at him. So he tried to get a word in, the crowd booed him. Tried to get another word in, the crowd booed him again. So Dominik ended up demanding the crowd to let him speak. Dom got into the ring, and he attempts to say that he doesn't know what game Liv Morgan thinks she's playing. So the crowd started chanting, "You suck," to Dominik. Dom ended up saying that Mommy isn't playing the same game. And when she comes back, she's going to kill Liv Morgan. So Liv Morgan then ended up saying, maybe, but she's probably going to kill you too. So Liv Morgan ended up promising to make it all worth it. Liv Morgan ended up asking Dominik how long he'll keep lying to himself. Liv ended up saying that Dominik didn't come out to help Becky, and that he came out to be closer to her. She ended up saying that's okay because she meant what she said. When she said she wanted to take everything from Rhea Ripley, and that includes Dominik. Liv Morgan backed Dominik into the corner, and she started rubbing his body. So Finn Balor ran down. Finn Balor ended up backing Liv Morgan up, to which Balor ended up saying that Dominik doesn't want anything to do with her, and the Judgment Day doesn't either. Which, by the way, Judgment Day was all over this show tonight. So Liv Morgan ended up asking, what if he doesn't want to go, and neither does Dominik? Liv Morgan ended up saying that she'll go for now, and she ended up leaving the ring. So Liv Morgan ended up sliding over to Dominik while she was on the ring apron. And Liv Morgan started rubbing Dominik's hair, and then she seductively walked away. So Balor then started wagging his finger at Dominik, and pretty much that was basically that. That was basically how the segment ended. But overall, I thought this was a just very meh segment to open Monday Night Raw here. Pretty much, basically, Liv Morgan coming out there saying why she ended up kissing Dominik Mysterio last week. But overall, thought this segment was cringe. And then we had Jackie Redmond. Jackie Redmond was backstage with Sheamus. She ended up asking Sheamus how pumped he is to get into the ring with Ludwig Kaiser. Sheamus ended up telling Jackie Redmond that he's really pumped, and Kaiser attacked him from behind and laid some bombs. Sheamus ended up saying that he thought Kaiser was Gunther's annoying mouthpiece. So Sheamus ended up saying he thinks that maybe Gunther was holding Kaiser back. He ended up saying tonight Kaiser gets a chance to see if he can go toe-to-toe with the Celtic Warrior. Sheamus then went on to say that he's on the cusp of 15 years in WWE. I can't believe Sheamus is going to be in the company, for 15 years. I remember when he debuted. He debuted as a heel when he came into WWE. So Sheamus ended up saying that he has always wondered if the fella across the ring from him could gain his respect. He ended up saying to do that, you have to put on banger after banger after banger. So as Sheamus walked off, and of course they did the camera, filming that I like, where it goes from backstage, goes through gorilla position all the way to the stage. So they followed Sheamus, the camera followed Sheamus, out there. So Sheamus made his entrance, and as Sheamus was going to walk down the ramp, Ludwig Kaiser came out and chop blocked him on the ramp. So Kaiser started punching away at Sheamus. Officials end up pulling Kaiser off. Sheamus was holding his knee in pain. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. And when Sheamus ended up walking through, gorilla position, there was a whole lot of, refs out there. I was like, all right, yeah, Kaiser's going to come out and he's going to do something to Sheamus. Which eventually I was right. But you saw when Sheamus walked through gorilla position, you saw pretty much a lot of referees, back there. So then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had the match, Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser, which this was a decent match here. Match ended up getting on the way. Sheamus started clubbing at Kaiser's back. He ended up bouncing Kaiser in the corner. Kaiser and Sheamus were both exchanging chops. Sheamus then delivered an uppercut to Kaiser. He then connected with a textbook vertical suplex to Kaiser. Kaiser then retreated to the corner. Kaiser ended up quickly picking Sheamus' knee. He had taken Sheamus down, and then he kicked Sheamus in the face. Kaiser then started chopping away at Sheamus. Sheamus then started striking back at Kaiser and took him down. Sheamus then dug his boot into Kaiser's head. Kaiser ended up quickly stumbling Sheamus with a kick to his knee, his injured knee, and he had taken Sheamus down, started stomping away at him. Sheamus's chest was shown bleeding, but it did no harm to Sheamus. It didn't even faze Sheamus. So Kaiser started clubbing away at Sheamus and started chopping him. Sheamus ended up fighting back with a short arm clothesline to Kaiser, and then he kicked Kaiser in his face. Sheamus then followed up with an uppercut to Kaiser. He pushed Kaiser into the ropes. Kaiser then ended up going after Sheamus's injured knee again, but Sheamus held Kaiser off. Kaiser then ducked the short arm clothesline, and he had taken Sheamus down with some shots to Sheamus's injured knee. So Sheamus then rolled to the apron to recover. Sheamus then soon got into the ring. He ended up blocking a kick from Kaiser. He then ended up attacking Kaiser's hamstring. Kaiser ended up getting to the bottom rope to keep Sheamus back. Sheamus then uppercutted Kaiser and clotheslined Kaiser over the top rope. Kaiser then pulled Sheamus out of the ring, and he bounced Sheamus's injured knee off the apron. Sheamus ended up quickly knocking Kaiser down. He was shown hobbling a bit because of the injured knee. Sheamus then ended up driving Kaiser into the barricade, and he put Kaiser into the ring. Sheamus stood on the apron. He ended up trying to tie Kaiser into the ropes, but Kaiser ended up snapping Sheamus off the top rope. Kaiser then ended up kicking Sheamus in his head, and he slung him into the ring post. Sheamus then landed with his injured knee on the ring steps. Kaiser then ended up going to the outside. He ended up drop kicking Sheamus's injured knee into the steel ring steps, and then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had Kaiser end up grabbing Sheamus. He ended up trying to hit the Innovator, he was trying to do Sheamus's 10 beats of the Bodhrán, but Sheamus ended up blocking the first shot. He ended up elbowing Kaiser in his cheek. Sheamus then ended up snapping Kaiser off the top rope and clotheslined him from the apron. Later on in the match, Sheamus ended up delivering a tilt-a-whirl power slam to Kaiser. Sheamus then ended up attempting a Celtic cross, but Kaiser ended up sliding off. Kaiser then ducked a bro kick from Sheamus, and Sheamus's knee ended up hitting the turnbuckle. Kaiser then ended up hitting a knee breaker off the ropes to Sheamus. So the referee ended up backing Kaiser off, and the ref started to check on Sheamus. And the ref was like, oh, you might have to stop the match. But Sheamus ended up stopping the ref from calling off the match, and he demanded Kaiser to bring it to him. So Kaiser couldn't believe that. He started slapping Sheamus hard in his face. Sheamus then started chopping away at Kaiser and sent him to the corner. Kaiser ended up booing Sheamus back. He ended up putting him in the corner, but Sheamus fought out. Kaiser then ended up ducking a clothesline and kicked Sheamus in his knee. Kaiser started clubbing at Sheamus. Sheamus then ended up stunning Kaiser with a vicious knee to his face. We had Sheamus end up sizing Kaiser up for a bro kick. He charged at Kaiser, but his knee ended up giving out. Kaiser then ended up rolling Sheamus up, and Sheamus kicked out. Sheamus then uppercutted Kaiser, and he put Kaiser on the apron, and he delivered the 10 beats of the Bodhrán, which eventually Sheamus turned it into 13 beats of the Bodhrán on Kaiser. So then Sheamus pulled Kaiser into the ring. Sheamus ended up putting Kaiser on his shoulders. He then climbed to the second rope. Kaiser ended up sliding out of a white noise attempt, and he ended up kicking Sheamus's knees out. Kaiser ended up rolling Sheamus up, and so there you go. Kaiser ended up winning the match. Post-match, we had another Uncle Howdy QR code end up appearing as Kaiser ended up celebrating. So pretty much that was basically that, but overall, this was a decent match between Kaiser and Sheamus here. But really liked it. Good wrestling from both Kaiser and Sheamus here. And then we saw Finn Balor. Finn Balor was backstage in the Judgment Day clubhouse. He was warning Dominik not to play with fire. So Damian Priest ended up coming in. And of course, we saw JD McDonough there. Damian Priest came in, and he wanted to know what's going on. Balor ended up telling Priest everything is handled. So Priest ended up asking about Rhea Ripley, to which Dominik ended up saying to Priest that he's going to give her some space, but everything is fine. Priest ended up saying that he hopes it works out, and Dominik makes things right with Rhea. Priest ended up saying that they have enough trouble, and tonight it's time to settle some scores and remind everyone why the Judgment Day runs Monday Night Raw. So that was basically that. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw Ricochet. Ricochet was in the locker room, and he was getting his ribs taped up. Ilya Dragunov ended up coming in. He ended up saying that they're both people who live to the limit. Ricochet ended up saying to Dragunov that they are wired differently, and that Bron Breakker forgets that. Ricochet ended up saying that if Dragunov wants to finish this, he is happy to do it. But it'll be after he slaps the fake tan off of Breakker. There you go. That was what Ricochet had to say. Then we had a promo from Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee ended up saying that every match and opportunity he has to step into the ring, he'll show there is no one like him. He ended up saying that he will be ready, and he'll do what he's always done. He ended up saying that the rest will follow. So Dragon Lee ended up saying that he will be a legend, and that there is only one Dragon Lee, and he will set the world on fire. Yeah. Probably think again, Dragon Lee, after this match here. So we had Dragon Lee versus Finn Balor. Finn Balor was accompanied by JD McDonough, and this was a okay match here. Match ended up getting underway. Both Dragon Lee and Balor locked up. Balor ended up quickly attacking Dragon Lee's back, ended up taking down Dragon Lee with an armbar. Lee ended up fighting up. He ended up cartwheeling to reverse the pressure of the armbar. Lee ended up kneeing Balor in his midsection. He ended up wrenching Balor's arm, and then he chopped away at Balor's chest. Lee ended up scaling the ropes. He ended up hitting a flying arm drag. He then hit another arm drag into an armbar on Balor. Balor fought up. He ended up backing Lee into the corner. So Balor then ended up punching Lee in his midsection, started stomping away on him. Balor ended up bouncing Lee in the corner and ended up chopping at his chest. Lee ended up holding his chest in pain as he stumbled to the other corner. Balor ended up shouldering Lee in his midsection a few times, and he started elbowing Lee in his head. Balor ended up whipping Lee into the ropes. Lee ended up ducking a clothesline from Balor, and Lee sent Balor out of the ring with a run hurricanrana. And then Lee hit the ropes, ended up hitting a quick suicide dive to Balor on the outside, which was great. So then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Balor ended up applying a rear chinlock on Lee. Lee fought up, but Balor ended up powering Lee down. Balor started talking some trash, and he peppered Lee with some light kicks. Lee ended up jumping to his feet. He ended up punching back at Balor. Balor then reversed the whip, but Lee ended up holding the ropes. We had JD McDonough later on. He got on the apron to distract Dragon Lee. Balor ended up rolling Lee up for a 2 count. Lee ended up quickly flipping through a clothesline, and he delivered a sit-out powerbomb to Balor, to which Balor kicked out. Lee ended up putting Balor on his shoulders, but once again, Lee was distracted by JD McDonough. Lee hit Balor with a rolling fireman's carry, and Lee then punched McDonough off the apron. McDonough then distracted the ref as Carlito ended up running down, and he crushed Lee on the top rope. Balor ended up hooking Lee. He ended up going for a superplex, but Lee ended up punching Balor off. Lee ended up standing on the top rope. He dove to the outside onto Carlito, took him out. Lee then started punching away at Carlito, and he ended up super kicking McDonough. Lee got into the ring, and Balor ended up catching Dragon Lee with a rude drop kick. Balor then stood on the top rope, and he hit the coup de grace on Dragon Lee. He ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Finn Balor ended up winning the match. Post-match, Carlito continued to attack Dragon Lee, and then Braun Strowman ended up coming out. Braun Strowman came out with Rey Mysterio. Strowman got into the ring. He ended up running through both Balor and Carlito. He ended up show tackling them both. McDonough then ran to the ring, and Strowman ended up delivering a boot to him. Strowman ended up setting up for the Strowman Express at ringside, but the Judgment Day ended up escaping through the crowd, and pretty much that was basically that. But overall, this was an okay match between Balor and Dragon Lee here. Wasn't perfect or great by any means, but it was okay. And then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw Damian Priest. Damian Priest was telling Finn Balor, Jade McDonough, and Carlito that he was hoping this Braun Strowman situation would be cleared up by now. Priest ended up telling Carlito if he wants to prove his worth, he can go to Adam Pearce, and he could make a match with Braun Strowman. So Carlito looked a little worried as the Judgment Day ended up walking off. So apparently, Damian Priest wanted Carlito to have a match with Strowman to see if Carlito is worth it to be with the Judgment Day. So then, R-Truth ended up coming up to Carlito. He ended up saying that the days of being part of the Judgment Day were the best days of his life, even though it was like a roller coaster that keeps kicking you. So The Miz then ended up saying, that can't be. R-Truth then ended up telling that The Miz is obsessed with Judgment Day. And he walked off. And Carlito looked all confused here, which, R-Truth, is funny. It's always, a joy when R-Truth, is on Raw. He's one of the best parts of Monday Night Raw. And then we had Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn made his way to the ring. He got a good reaction there in Hershey. Sami Zayn looked pleased with the reception that he got from the crowd. Sami Zayn got on the mic. He kept saying, "Welcome to Pennsylvania, huh?" Sami Zayn ended up saying that the last time he was here was for WrestleMania. And we know how that went. Of course, him winning the Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn then held the Intercontinental Championship up. He ended up saying that he hasn't had a lot of time to enjoy the title because of the thorn in his side. And that thorn is Chad Gable. He ended up saying Chad Gable has tried to make this about everyone else, but it's really about the two of them. He ended up saying this has gone on long enough. Sami Zayn ended up saying that he has a proposal, and he proposes Chad Gable to come out without the Alpha Academy, so they can put all this to an end. So Chad Gable did not come out. We saw the Alpha Academy. We had Maxine Dupree, Otis, and Akira Tozawa. They came out instead. Maxine Dupree looked worried. She got on the mic. She kept apologizing to Sami Zayn. She kept telling Sami Zayn that Chad Gable doesn't think Sami Zayn is worthy of his time. Dupree also ended up saying that Chad Gable wants them to redeem themselves. So the Alpha Academy got into the ring. Maxine Dupree ended up reading a note from Chad Gable. She kept saying that Chad Gable wrote that his teachings can take a pathetic excuse for a human being and make them a champion. She kept saying, without Chad Gable's help, this ring would be filled with a failure hanging around backstage, pretending to be a ninja. We all know who that was, Akira Tozawa, when he was wearing that stupid ninja outfit. She then ended up saying that a child that couldn't hang on to his Money in the Bank briefcase, and a knockoff Barbie no one wanted, and a whiny, dishevelled mess that Gunther would have squashed. She kept saying Chad Gable claims he wiped the mat with Sami Zayn and wants a title match. Sami Zayn ended up saying that if that's what it'll take to put this to an end, he's got it. So Sami Zayn ended up saying that he will defend the Intercontinental Championship at Clash at the Castle against Chad Gable. Sami Zayn then put the Intercontinental Championship down. He wanted to talk to Dupree, Otis, and Tozawa. So Sami Zayn was like to them, haven't they had enough of this? Sami Zayn ended up saying that they're better than the treatment Chad Gable has been giving them, and that the people know. He ended up saying that Chad Gable doesn't get to decide what they are worth. So Otis was shown pacing. Sami Zayn ended up saying that he's been in their shoes before, and that they need to set themselves free from Chad Gable once and for all. So Chad Gable ended up running through the crowd. He ended up attacking Sami Zayn from behind. It was a setup by Chad Gable here. So Chad Gable started punching away at Sami. He took off his jacket. We had the Alpha Academy end up backing up. Chad Gable ended up laying in some crossface forearms to Sami Zayn. He then hit a German suplex to Sami Zayn. So Otis couldn't even look at what was going on. But Gable ended up calling Otis over. Gable held Sami Zayn up. Otis then started to ball up his fist, but he did not strike Sami. Gable had thrown Sami Zayn down, and he started yelling at Otis. Chad Gable then slapped Otis. So Tozawa was seen enough. He backed Gable off of Otis. Gable then got in Tozawa's face. He shoved Tozawa a few times. Maxine Dupree then pulled Gable back. Gable ended up telling her to get on her knees and beg him to stop doing this. So Maxine Dupree got on her knees and started begging Chad Gable. Gable then ended up telling Maxine to get up and get out of the ring. To which also Tozawa was kicked out of the ring. Otis then stood up to Chad Gable, and the crowd ended up popping at that. Otis ended up staring down Gable. We had the crowd end up chanting for Otis. Sami Zayn turned Chad Gable around, and Sami Zayn started punching Gable. Gable then ended up sending Sami Zayn into Otis' back, causing Otis to inadvertently knock both Dupree and Tozawa off the apron. So Chad Gable ended up blaming Sami Zayn. Otis looked conflicted, because he was like, oh, who did that? Because Sami Zayn and Chad Gable were like, oh, he did it, he did it, he did it. So that confused Otis. So then Otis ended up hitting Sami Zayn with the World's Strongest Slam. And pretty much the crowd then ended up booing. Chad Gable then held up the Intercontinental Championship. Otis then picked up both Maxine Dupree and Akira Tozawa, and he ended up walking off with the both of them. So that was how the segment ended. But next week on Monday Night Raw, we're going to be getting Sami Zayn versus Otis. This is all leading up to maybe Otis finally, getting his hands on Chad Gable and having enough of this at Clash at the Castle. I think that's going to happen, where Otis is going to turn on Chad Gable, and the rest of the Alpha Academy, Maxine Dupree and Tozawa, are all going to have enough of Chad Gable. I think that's going to be coming at Clash at the Castle. And then we had Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce was watching on the TV what just happened with Gable and Sami Zayn. Bron Breakker came in. Bron Breakker ended up saying to Pearce that he would break Sami Zayn in half. Breakker ended up coming in to congratulate Pierce on giving him real competition. Well, I'm glad that Bron Breakker ended up saying that to Adam Pierce, because I thought that we were still going to be fed jobbers to Bron Breakker to get more of his momentum going. But finally, they given Bron Breakker some real competition. So Adam Pierce ended up saying that Ricochet asked for this match, and that he knows the meaning of the word respect. Breakker ended up saying that he'll teach Pierce and Ricochet about respect, because he wasn't put in the King of the Ring tournament, and no one can hold him back. So that was basically what Bron Breakker had to say. And then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had the Alpha Academy, Tozawa, Maxine Dupree, and Otis backstage. Chad Gable ended up coming over to them. He ended up telling them that they did a great job. Maxine ended up saying that her knee is really hurt. And as for Otis, Gable ended up saying that he is proud of him. Gable then grabbed Otis' face. He ended up saying, "Oh, he's always been my number one guy." Gable then ended up kissing Otis on his cheek. Gable then ended up saying that at Clash at the Castle, as a team, they'll win his Intercontinental Championship. So Gable then walked off, and that was basically that. And then we have Ricochet versus Bron Breakker. This was a good match here. So, of course, Ricochet, we saw earlier in the night, he was getting his ribs taped because of Bron Breakker attacking him, in the last 2 weeks. So, the match ended up getting underway. Ricochet slapped Breakker in the face. He then ducked a right hand from Breakker. Ricochet ended up taking it to Breakker with some strikes. Breakker reversed the whip to the corner, but Ricochet ended up slingshotting over Breakker. Ricochet ended up kicking Breakker in his midsection. Breakker ended up pushing Ricochet off, but Ricochet ended up hitting a handstand head scissors takeover. He then held his ribs in pain, and he ended up drop kicking Breakker back. Ricochet ended up charging at Breakker, but Breakker ended up dropping Ricochet on the apron. Ricochet then kicked Breakker back. He ended up going for a springboard, but Breakker ended up sidestepping Ricochet. Breakker then hit the ropes. He ended up running Ricochet over with a clothesline, and that speed of that clothesline was absolutely massive from Bron Breakker. To which Michael Cole on commentary said, "Oh, Breakker ran the ropes at 23 miles per hour." Like, how did Michael Cole know that? So Bron Breakker ended up kicking Ricochet out of the ring. He went to ringside. Bron Breakker ended up putting Ricochet on his shoulders. He press slammed Ricochet rib first onto the barricade. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Bron Breakker was in control of the match still. He had taken it to Ricochet. Breakker ended up catching Ricochet, attempting a springboard, but Ricochet ended up countering that into a DDT. So Ricochet ended up getting to his feet, holding his ribs. Ricochet hit a run shoulder, which was followed up by a springboard clothesline to Breakker. Ricochet then connected with a springboard moonsault, and he ended up going for the cover, to which Breakker kicked out. Ricochet headed to the top rope for a 630, but he landed on his feet because Bron Breakker moved out of the way. Ricochet then ended up hitting a super kick to Breakker, and then he connected with a recoil, and so Ricochet went for the cover. Breakker ended up kicking out. Ricochet headed to the top rope, but Bron Breakker ended up cutting Ricochet off. Breakker then easily scaled the ropes, ended up hitting a Frankensteiner on Ricochet, and Breakker then ended up delivering a spear to Ricochet. He went for the cover, and there you go. Bron Breakker ended up winning the match. Post-match, Breakker ended up kicking Ricochet out of the ring. He ended up sending Ricochet rib first into the steel ring steps. Breakker then lifted the top half of the ring steps over his head, and officials ended up running down to stop all this. Ilya Dragunov then ran down. He ended up ducking flying stairs from Breakker. Dragunov then ended up punching Breakker in his face and knocked Breakker over the barricade. Breakker then retreated through the crowd, and pretty much that was basically that. But overall, good match between Bron Breakker and Ricochet here. Bron Breakker is just a beast in the ring, especially from his spears and also the clothesline that he hit on Ricochet here. Just gotta love Bron Breakker. And then we saw Rey Mysterio and Zelina Vega. They came up to Dragon Lee. Rey ended up saying that Dragon Lee did great out there. He ended up saying that if it wasn't for Carlito, he'd have been successful. And he ended up telling Dragon Lee that Carlito has taken a lot away from him. Rey ended up promising Dragon Lee that he will get his payback. But first, they have to take care of the Judgment Day. Rey ended up saying that he is aiming for the head with Damian Priest. He ended up saying that Priest thinks Judgment Day runs Monday Night Raw, but it doesn't include La Raza or the LWO. Rey ended up saying that he will personally deliver the message to Damian Priest, man to man and face to face, with the greatest power. So both Rey and Dragon Lee ended up bumping fists, and that was that. And then we saw Jackie Redmond. Jackie Redmond was backstage with Kiana James. Kiana James about to make her in-ring debut on Monday Night Raw since she got drafted to Raw from NXT. Kiana James ended up saying to Jackie Redmond that Natalya is one of the most accomplished superstars in WWE history. Kiana James ended up putting over Adam Pearce, and she ended up saying that to beat the boat would keep her in the 1%. So that was what Kiana James had to say. Now we had the match, Kiana James versus Natalya, which this was just a very meh match here. I mean, Kiana James, she did fine in her Raw in-ring debut here. Yeah, I've seen her matches down in NXT, decent in the ring that she is. So the match ended up getting in the way. Both Natalya and Kiana James ended up blocking up. Kiana James ended up twisting through an arm wrench from Natalya. Natalya ended up taking James down, and James ended up kicking out. Natalya ended up applying a waist lock, but James ended up doing a stand switch. Natalya ended up getting out and rolled James up. James ended up kicking out at 2. Kiana James ended up leapfrogging Natalya and rolled her up, to which Natalya kicked out. Natalya ended up clearly going for a cross arm breaker, but Kiana James ended up grabbing the rope. Kiana James ended up dropping Natalya in the corner and started stomping away at her. We had Kiana James end up whipping Natalya to the opposite corner. Natalya ended up rebounding with a discus clothesline. She started punching away at Kiana James. And we had Natalya end up blocking a kick from Kiana James, and she ended up taking Kiana James down. Natalya ended up stepping on Kiana James and ended up hitting a basement drop kick. She ended up going for the cover, to which James ended up kicking out at 2. Natalya then connected with a German suplex to Kiana James. Natalya ended up setting up for the sharpshooter, but Kiana James ended up kicking Natalya back. Kiana James ended up hitting the 401k, which of course is her finisher. She ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Kiana James ended up winning the match. So this was only for Natalya to put over Kiana James. But what a meh match it was. And then we had Kathy Kelly. Kathy Kelly was with The New Day, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. She ended up asking the both of them about Karrion Kross's attempts to break them up. Kofi and Xavier ended up telling Kathy Kelly that it won't work. So Karrion Kross ended up coming up. He ended up saying that the chants don't hit the same anymore, and that the power of positivity is dead. Kofi ended up saying that they still hit hard, and the authors of pain will find that out tonight the hard way. So Kofi walked off. Karrion Kross ended up telling Xavier Woods that he won't have to follow Kofi around after tonight. To which Kross ended up telling Woods to trust him. And that was basically that. Then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw Natalya walking backstage. Sonya Deville walked up to Natalya. She kept asking if she's ready to talk. Natalya ended up saying to Sonya Deville that she is, because enough is enough, and that it's time for a change. So then Sonya Deville walked up to Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark. And they ended up telling Sonya Deville that they want to be left alone. So pretty much that was that. Then we have Braun Strowman versus Carlito. This was a quick match here. Carlito ended up taking another L for Carlito, because Braun Strowman won the match. Strowman grabbed Carlito, slammed him onto his face. And there you go. We had Jade and McDonough come down. Strowman knocked McDonough off the apron. Balor hopped up on the apron. Strowman grabbed Balor. And, that was that. Post-match, McDonough and Balor end up double teaming on Strowman. Strowman grabbed both McDonough and Balor by the throat, end up pushing them off. Strowman ended up running both McDonough and Balor over with a shoulder tackle, and then he grabbed Carlito. Dominik ended up running down. He chop blocked Strowman. Dominik ended up attacking Strowman. He ended up going outside to get a steel chair. So Dominik came into the ring with the chair in hand. Strowman swatted the chair out of Dominik's hands. Dominik tried to escape. He crawled away, but Liv Morgan ran down. Liv Morgan ended up standing in Braun Strowman's way. Strowman backed off. McDonough then attacked Strowman. Strowman ended up shaking McDonough off and threw him into the ring. McDonough then ended up grabbing the chair. He ended up driving it into Strowman's midsection. McDonough then smashed the chair on Strowman's back and also his chest, taking Strowman down. So Balor and Carlito joined in to attack Strowman. McDonough bent the chair over Strowman with shot after shot to Strowman. So Liv Morgan seductively approached Dominik outside of the ring, but Balor ended up quickly stepping in the way, to which Liv Morgan ended up backing off. But basically that was that. But overall, this was just a quick match between Strowman and Carlito here. Really liking what they're doing here with Strowman and the Judgment Day. Was interesting here. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw the Women's Tag Team Champions, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. They made their way to the ring, got a good ovation from the crowd there in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Bianca got on the mic. She kept saying that it's been a minute since she's been on Monday Night Raw. She kept saying now that she's representing the Women's Tag Team titles, they'll show up and show out on SmackDown and Monday Night Raw. Jade Cargill ended up saying that they got a special invitation to Raw and have come to collect. She kept saying that since both Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark want to run their mouths, they can say it to their faces. So both Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark headed out. Zoey Stark got on the mic. She sarcastically ended up saying that she's shocked both Bianca and Cargill end up coming. She kept saying that it's been a while since the tag team titles were on Raw. She kept saying that Bianca and Cargill have been ducking and dodging them, to which Bianca ended up laughing at that. Baszler ended up saying that they should be scared of them. She kept saying once they get their title match, they'll send them back packing to SmackDown. So Jade Cargill ended up saying that they can give the people what they want right here and now, to which Baszler ended up agreeing. So that brought out Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce came out, and he ended up wanting to confirm if they want this match. And the crowd ended up wanting it. Obviously, in my head, I'm like, no, no, we don't want to see this. So Adam Pearce ended up saying that they're going to have that match with the titles on the line. So we had the match. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair versus Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark. Women's Tag Team Championship on the line. Did not even give a shit about this. I did not care. So at the end of the match, we had Alba Fire and Isla Dawn end up running down. They end up attacking Cargill and Bianca Belair, and the match ended in a disqualification. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn end up taking it to Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Baszler and Zoey Stark end up running in, and they joined in on the fight, and then they stared down Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. And that was basically that. I did not give a shit about this. Did not. Moving on. Cathy Kelly. She was backstage with Damian Priest. Damian Priest ended up telling Cathy Kelly that the Judgment Day has had a good night, and it feels right. He kept saying as for Rey Mysterio, he's been a thorn in their sides for a while. He kept saying that he'll close the door on Rey tonight. Cathy Kelly then ended up asking Priest about Liv Morgan. So before Priest can answer that about Liv Morgan, Drew McIntyre walked up. McIntyre ended up telling Damian Priest to enjoy this, because this is as high as he'll get in the industry. McIntyre ended up saying that he wanted to believe in Priest, but he made it personal. To which we heard the crowd and loudly chant for CM Punk. To which that was basically that. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had Yeet, Mr. Yeet, main event Jey Uso. He had making his entrance through the crowd. The crowd was just on fire, at Jey making his way out. They were hyped up. We saw, the fireflies in the crowd. Jey Uso ended up staying in the crowd. He ended up saying last year at Money in the Bank, it was the Bloodline Civil War. He ended up saying that he lost his brothers and his cousin, but he knew he could one day fight on his own. He ended up saying that he knew it wasn't a right-hand man to anyone. He ended up saying that he knew one day he could be the main event. Jey then ended up thanking the people for yeeting with him on his journey. Jey ended up saying that he has one more plan for this summer. He ended up saying that he's going to climb to the top of the ladder, snatch the briefcase, and become Mr. Money in the Bank. Yeet! So that was what Jey Uso had to say. I really liked how Jey Uso just stood in the crowd as he delivered his promo here. Yeah, that was, awesome. Just taking it in with the fans, there. But good promo from Jey Uso. And now we had Cathy Kelly. Cathy Kelly was with Lyra Valkyria. She was asking Lyra about Becky Lynch. Lyra ended up saying to Cathy Kelly that she's disappointed, but she will come back better. She kept saying that's how real winning is done, something Liv Morgan knows nothing about. So Cathy Kelly ended up talking about how much Becky helped Lyra, and how will she go on without her. Lyra ended up saying that she'll be fine, and that she wants to win Money in the Bank. So all of a sudden, Io Sky ended up attacking Lyra. Io ended up throwing Lyra into a garage door as she was screaming in Japanese. So Io ended up screaming and she ended up walking off. And that was basically that. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had the New Day versus the Authors of Pain. Of course, Authors of Pain was accompanied by Karrion Kross, Scarlett, and Paul Ellering. And this was a okay match here. Quick match. We had Xavier Woods end up drop kicking Razor, and he started punching away at him. Xavier Woods ended up booting Razor, but Razor ended up taking Woods down. Razor ended up standing over Woods and started punching him in the face. Akam ended up tagging in. He ended up kneeing Woods in his midsection. He ended up going for a cover, to which Woods ended up kicking out. Razor ended up tagging back in, started stomping away on Woods. Razor ended up applying a neck vice on Woods. The crowd was chanting for the New Day here. Woods fought up. Razor ended up stopping him. We had Woods ended up quickly hitting a step-up enziguri to Razor. Akam ended up tagging in. He ended up going for a back suplex to Woods, but Woods flipped through. Scarlett got on the apron to distract the ref, to which Kofi ended up getting and carrying Cross's face as Cross ended up approaching him. Woods ended up looking to go for a tag, but Kofi wasn't there. So Kofi was, still, face-to-face with carrying Cross. So the Authors of Pain delivered the What a Rush to Xavier Woods, and there you go. The Authors of Pain ended up winning the match. So Karrion Kross, post-match, shouted at Xavier Woods to drop Kofi Kingston. And pretty much that was that. Overall, quick match this was. And then we had Jackie Redmond. Jackie Redmond ended up catching up with both Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn end up saying that they don't like that Clash at the Castle could happen without them. And they want the Women's Tag Team titles there. So that was that. Looks like we might see Alba Fire and Isla Dawn versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill at Clash at the Castle. And then we saw what we're going to see next week on Monday Night Raw. It's going to be Lyra Valkyria versus Io Sky. Sami Zayn versus Otis. Bron Breakker will go up against Ilya Dragunov, which that should be a very good match there. So that's all next week on Monday Night Raw from Toledo, Ohio. Main event, Rey Mysterio versus Damian Priest. Good match this was. Match ended up getting on the way. Rey ended up sidestepping Damian Priest, ended up kicking Priest in his leg. Rey ended up sliding through Priest's legs, ended up hitting the ropes, but Priest ended up delivering a big boot to Rey. Priest ended up elbowing Rey and connected with a broken arrow. Priest went for the cover, but Rey ended up fighting out. Rey ended up fighting back, ended up kicking Priest in the face, and then he ended up hitting a head scissors takeover. Priest rolled to the outside of the ring to recover. Rey ended up connecting with a springboard moonsault, and he put Priest back into the ring. Rey ended up knocking Priest back. He ended up going for a slingshot, but Priest ended up catching him, and Priest ended up hitting the flatline on Rey. So Priest ended up stomping Rey in the corner, and then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Priest ended up clubbing Rey to the corner. Priest ended up whipping Rey hard to the corner and connected with a sidewalk slam. Priest ended up going for the cover, and Rey ended up kicking out. Priest pulled Rey up, started punching him in the face to knock Rey out of the ring, to which Rey ended up getting out of the ring. The ref started to count Rey out. So the ref ended up getting to 8. Rey pulled himself into the ring. Priest ended up whipping Rey hard into the corner. He scooped Rey up. Rey ended up sliding out, ended up hitting a spinning heel kick to Priest. Rey then followed up with a step-up enziguri, and he ended up kicking Priest in his hamstring. Priest put the brakes on a whip and sent Rey into the corner. Priest ended up charging, but Rey ended up dropping Priest down. Rey ended up hitting a throw into the middle turnbuckle to Priest. So Priest ended up quickly dropping Rey on the apron and kicked him down. Priest ended up standing Rey up on the apron. He set up to hit the Staff of Heaven to the floor, but Rey ended up fighting out, ended up kicking Priest in his head. So we had later on, Rey ended up drop kicking Priest into the ropes. He connected with a 619. Rey ended up dropping on Priest, and he ended up going for the cover, and Priest ended up kicking out. So Carlito then ended up running down. He got on the apron, but Dragon Lee ended up pulling Carlito down. Dragon Lee took Carlito down at ringside, started punching away at him. McDonough and Balor end up running down to attack Dragon Lee. Ray ended up wiping them out with a corkscrew plancha, which was great. Ray headed to the top rope, but Priest caught Ray with the South of Heaven. Priest ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Damian Priest ended up winning the match. Post-match, Drew McIntyre ended up running from behind and ended up attacking Damian Priest. McIntyre ended up grabbing Priest, ended up dropping Priest with the Future Shock DDT, and then he kicked up. Crowd was chanting for CM Punk because of McIntyre. McIntyre then picked up the World Heavyweight Championship. He stared at the title and then threw it down. McIntyre went into the corner. He started counting down to 3, 2, 1. But he ended up winding up clotheslining Balor down instead of Claymore and Balor. Carlito ended up taking a Glasgow Kiss headbutt from McIntyre. McDonough ended up running in. McIntyre ended up sending McDonough flying with an overhead belly-to-belly suplex. McIntyre then went to the outside and he cleared off the commentary table. McIntyre started shouting at Michael Cole because Michael Cole called McIntyre a hypocrite. McIntyre turned around. Priest grabbed McIntyre by his throat. Priest then drove McIntyre through the table with the South of Heaven. So McIntyre was down. So the Judgment Day all stood over McIntyre as Monday Night Raw went off the air. Overall, this was a good match between Rey Mysterio and Damian Priest here, and really enjoying where this is going. With Drew McIntyre and the Judgment Day. Obviously, Drew McIntyre wants to go, after Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship. So we'll see where that goes, but I'm interested. But overall, Monday Night Raw, solid show was tonight. This was definitely much better than last week's awful, terrible show. So, Monday Night Raw, thumbs up for tonight. Solid show. Way, way better than last week. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all Wednesday night for AEW Dynamite. So, see you all then.